So do you still have your storyboard business?
I do, yeah.
And about how much of your time is taken up with that versus sell your TV concept?
It kind of depends on which projects come through. There's some projects I like to do that I'll take on myself, but a lot of it I oversee other people. But it's like I'm just the animation producer, which was all part of my storyboarding business, on Fox's release of 232.
Mm-hmm.
And I really loved that, so I wanted that piece, so I took it. And had a story on a Warner Brothers feature with Eddie Murphy, so of course I'm taking that because that's huge.
Yeah.
So then I do the consulting and other stuff at night. And my wife, obviously, she's my partner in the consulting business, so and the rest of the crew that we've got here, they can run a lot of that stuff.
How many hours do you work a week? I mean,
I have no idea. I don't even think I want to know.
Oh, really?
I take my time with my family, and then when they go to bed, I go back to work for 2 or 3 more hours. So.
Oh, man. I can't even imagine.
70, 80, 90 hours a week, I guess.
Wow.
I don't notice it. I don't care. It's fun.
Yeah. No, I guess you're doing what you love.
I do. I love every aspect of telling stories and being creative.
And your kids, how many do you have?
I have identical twin boys who are 12.
Okay.
And they're into it. They help us. In fact, I'll be out in LA next week pitching a project that my boys helped me on some of the creative on, which is really fun.
Okay, we are...
You're gonna be junior producers soon.
Yeah.
So we'll probably...
We are ready.
We're going to probably open up the stream, but we're not going to launch into the interview, but we'll be live to kind of let people into the room. And
Stream is open?
So the stream's open. What are you laughing about?
You did one of those Heidi-ho waves.
Might be a romper room. I see Jimmy.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that to your sister.
Yeah.
Right now I'm really showing my age.
Oh man, romper room. I haven't seen that for years.
Well, luckily neither have I.
Yeah.
Now I've seen it at all says something.
Yeah, you just told everybody you're late 40s, early 50s.
You know what someone just asked me the other day? If Mr. Rogers is dead.
Yeah, he is.
He's dead?
Died while I was at Carnegie Mellon.
Oh, how do you remember that?
Because I was in screenwriting class with Mylan Stitt, and Mylan was really good friends with Mr. Rogers, and he lived in an apartment building right up from campus.
Yeah.
And Mylan and Mr. Rogers were really good friends, and he got the call in a classroom. We were doing screenplay critiques, and he stops the class. He goes, "Mr. Rogers just died."
What did he die of?
Just old age, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Okay, we are 10 seconds out.
Uh-oh.
He seemed like such a nice guy. I would have liked to have met Mr. Rogers.
From what I understand, he was like one of the nicest guys ever to work in show business.
Yeah.
Okay. 15 seconds out.
South Park just did a parody, and it looked like, they didn't say it was him, but it looked just like Captain Kangaroo as a bully, which is really funny.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are live.
All right, we are live with Mark Simon of Sell Your TV Concept Now, and this is NATPE Brown Bag Lunch Series, brought to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Mark has done quite a lot in his lifetime. He has worked on over 2,900 productions, worked on hundreds of storyboard jobs, and he has a storyboard business as well. He's pitched and sold shows to Fox, ABC, Nickelodeon, PBS, Discovery, just to name a few. And he'll be with us today just giving some background on pitching and his recommendations. So thanks for joining us today, Mark.
Oh, my pleasure. Always good talking to you, Clay.
So how'd you get your start in the business?
Well, when I graduated college, I always thought Hollywood sounded really cool, so I just picked up and I moved. I didn't know anyone. I really had never been, well, I had never been there. I'd never been to California. So I just moved out there and just started meeting people, and I had a background in building homes. My dad was a contractor, so I knew how to swing a hammer. I designed and built sets in high school and college, so I figured, well, I should start in set construction. So I got a job briefly at a big set construction company, youre and Associates. It was the biggest at the time in Hollywood. And I worked there for about 3 months, then went off to find a movie. And down at Corman's studio, I got hired as construction coordinator on a movie called Beyond Infinity, which then was renamed Slave Girl from Beyond Infinity, a classic. And 2 weeks in, I became the art director. And I ended up as art director and production designer from that point on. So my first project, I kind of started at a pretty good level. Then moved to LA, or moved to Orlando with my wife back in '89 to open up Nickelodeon. I became the second designer at Nick. My wife became one of the top producers there. And just kind of went on, going from project to project, Sequest, tons of commercials, 30 some odd movies now, you name it.
And when did you first decide to shift over into producing as well?
Probably right as I was leaving Nickelodeon. I mean, you work on kids programming long enough, and you really get the creative urge to do anything else. And so my wife and I created an adult animation series. I mean, not porn, but definitely more of the adult Fox style animation called Swinging Cinderella. And that's when we actually first found out about NATPE. At that point we started researching, well, what are we going to do, and how are we going to pitch this? So once we put it back together in 1997, and when NATPE was in New Orleans, was our first point of going out and pitching to the studios and networks.
Wow, so you did it at NATPE first.
That was my practice. Oh my God, we failed miserably.
Really?
We did everything wrong, and we did for quite a while. I mean, it's not easy. There was no guidance, there was no support. We finally got some mentors that guided us through, but it took us years to figure out how not to really suck at it.
What were some of the mistakes you were making?
Oh my God, we did everything. We had the wrong kind of pitch materials. We were like everyone. We came in and we were pitching the toys and animation. So at that point, we came in saying, "Oh, you can get all these toys out of it," and not realizing that toys are never sold during the first season of the series. It's not possible to get them on the shelves. So we weren't pitching the characters right. We weren't telling the stories. It was just horrible. We were trying to memorize something. It was awful.
So did you end up eventually selling that pitch, that adult animation series, or no? And why not?
No, we didn't. But something that interesting happened at a later NATPE, because we revised it a couple times, and I don't remember what year it was, but after we kind of really figured out and we really knew what we were doing, we were pitching a few shows around. We went to this one company. It was based out of New York. I actually don't even remember the name of it now. And Jeannie and I pitched the show, and they said, "Wow, this sounds really great. We're not really looking for that type of show, but we love your sense of humor and your take on things. We've got a series of shorts called Bug Off, Buzz Off." I remember that part. That we want to turn into a long-form series with an adult sensibility. Would you guys want to take that on? And so, even though we didn't sell the show, because of that show, we landed the contract to develop this series with this other studio.
Oh, I'm sure that was unexpected when you were going in with it teaches you to keep your eyes open and be open to opportunities.
Well, and it's something we talk to a lot of our clients about, because it happens all the time. I see it constantly. We've got another client that ended up getting hired to host a show because she was pitching hers and they liked her. We have another client who was pitching a drama, and I introduced him to a studio, a group, and again, I don't remember the name, but it was a group that was doing Homicide Atlanta. And they read his script that night, brought him in the next day, again at NATPE, and in hiring him and buying 4 of his scripts and produced 3 of his scripts for their series Homicide Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's amazing what'll happen.
So how many pitches total do you think you've given in your life?
I don't know. It's more than 5 and less than 10,000, and it's probably somewhere right in the middle. I mean, look, we've actually counted at times at conferences, and I've been going to NATPE obviously for what 16, 17 years now. My record is 35 pitches in one day.
Wow.
And so it adds up really quick. And I do a lot of conferences during the year, and because of that, I have a huge amount of contacts. So like next week, I'm going to be out in LA, and I've got a number of meetings set up, 2, 3 a day, which is not easy to do in LA, but just over the years, I've gotten where I've had 6 a day with my record in LA, driving to and from different pitch meetings.
And do you meet most of your contacts at conferences then?
It's a combination of that and just the fact that I've been in the industry for a really, really long time. And, especially as I've been producing more and more, and I lecture at different conferences and festivals around the world. So I meet a lot of executives that way. I've traveled to China twice in these big U.S. Groups of guys that go and women who go over and they lecture and teach the Chinese studio. So I meet a lot of executives doing things like that. It's a big mix of things. Some actually come to us. We've won a lot of festivals over the years, including, if you remember when Nickelodeon started their Nicktoons Film Festival. There's I don't remember how many years ago the first one was. I'm the first grand prize winner.
Oh wow.
And the day after they announced the winner, every major kids network called us and asked for our pitches. So it's a mix of things. I mean, I've really got my fingers out there in a lot of ways, and I try my best to keep in contact with people I work with and I've met. And over the years, it just adds up.
Now you've done 5,000 to 10,000 pitches. I'd say, do you still get nervous when you pitch?
No, I don't. I actually get really excited. Yeah, of course I was nervous like everyone else when you get started. But no, these days I get excited and I get really amped up because I can't wait to share my ideas. My ideas get better and better, my pitches get better and better, I get really into it. I mean, if I'm telling a sad story, I'll cry in the pitch. And it's really funny when people see it because they get emotional because I pour everything into it. And I just have so much. I'll get up, I'll run around. There have been times I pitched an action movie because we do film and TV. And I was literally a sweaty mess at the end because I was running around the office so much.
Wow.
Oh, it's fun. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
How did you learn to perfect your pitch technique?
Well, I'm a story artist, so I'm always pitching story, even in meetings with directors and with producers. They'll ask me to break down a sequence, or if I'm directing a commercial, I've got to pitch it to the client, or if I'm pitching. If we're doing low-budget things, I've got to get people for next to nothing, to help on things. I've got to pitch to the crew to get them excited. When I'm talking to people about what Jeannie and my partner and wife do with Cellular TV Concept now, we've got to pitch to them on what we can do to help them. It's, pitching is selling, but it gets really, if you can be passionate and show that passion, oh my God, it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, the last thing you want to do is sit there, kind of calm, cool, collected. It's like, yeah, if you look bored, they're going to be bored. I have fun, and I guarantee you're going to be having fun with me if I'm pitching to you.
Does someone need to pitch an idea in order to sell it?
Oh, of course. In fact, not only do they need to pitch, it's the creator that needs to pitch. Because when a studio or network is buying an idea, they're buying you for half of it. Because they hear the same ideas over and over. It's you that makes it different. And no one else is going to have your passion for your idea. And if you don't have passion for your idea, you're not going to sell it, and no one's going to care.
Do you think that you shouldn't move forward with an idea if you can't come up with some sort of marketing campaign, like a one-sheet or a tagline or clever commercial hook?
It's interesting. You need all those things whenever you can, but I've also seen when people are really good and got really great ideas, they're able to get pretty far without it. However, the industry standards are getting higher and higher every year. So, especially for those people without a lot of industry experience, you've got to look and sound like a pro, and you've got to have everything packaged. You've got to have it done right. You've got to have the right lead behinds, and what those lead behinds are really varies depending on what type of project you've got and what you're capable of putting together. And that's a big part of what we do when we're working with people, is help them figure out what they need for whatever their pitch is. But I go in loaded completely on every time I do a pitch. In fact, even for my trip next week to LA, I'm still going back through and editing my different materials, and I'll be printing up to the last minute, making sure it's as good as possible.
So just to reiterate, you said that those marketing materials become even more important the more junior you are as a producer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if you've got the right materials, you're not going to look as junior as you may be. And I've got a good example of this. We've got a client that came to one of our conferences. We do a 3-day conference every year or so called the Hitmaker Summit, which is really one-on-one work with a very small select group of people, helping them take their idea from concept all the way through getting it ready to pitch. And it's amazing all the different things that we do and the people we bring in to work with you. It's not a sit and listen. We had a woman that came with a preschool show that was really terrible. And we told her it was terrible. I mean, I don't think I'm doing anyone any justice if I said, oh, that's nice, sweetie. No, if it sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks. And then we're going to help you make it better. Well, in her case, her idea was so bad, and there was no reason for her to do a preschool show, that we kept working with her on other aspects of her life. And one of her life stories was when she had to break away from this Southern religious culture. And it's an unbelievable story what she did and how she had to break away from it and raise her kids, and then she ended up owning this big mortgage company. I mean, it's phenomenal. So we helped her work on and develop that, and we designed a one sheet for us. We have one sheet designers on staff here, and we worked with her on the treatment. And her son became a really good screenwriter, an adult son, and they worked together on it. Her first series of pitches, she made some great contacts at NATPE, and then she went to another conference in the summer. In fact, I think it might have been your PitchCon, but before it was PitchCon, and landed a management thing, pitched to a Fox exec who said, I think this is great, and came in, and the Fox executive didn't believe her in the following meeting, said she didn't have any industry experience. And she said, this is the best one sheet, the best treatments I've ever seen. Of course, you've got experience. That's one of the difference it makes when you have the right materials. People just expect that you've got experience.
What are some of the other pitching mistakes people normally make as junior producers?
One of the biggest mistakes is when you try to memorize your pitch. It's a terrible idea in every way. It's really a great pitch is a conversation. And how bored would you be if someone came up to have a conversation with you and they're obviously just reciting something they memorized rather than connecting with you? And a lot of problems come up when people memorize pitches. First of all, if I'm an executive and you're pitching to me and I hear something that I either like or don't like, and I interject and I ask you a question or something, that's going to totally throw you off on your memorized pitch. What do? Where do you start over? If you forget a word, you're going to get flustered. You don't forget words when you're talking to someone. You only forget things when you try to memorize something. So that's horrible. The other thing I also always see, which is an absolute death knell every time, is when people try to pitch with a slideshow like a PowerPoint. Oh my God, it's horrible. It never works.
Now, a lot of junior producers seem to want to shoot clips for their concept that's a reality TV concept. Do they also need to have scripts produced, or how do you go about pitching reality TV concepts?
Well, with reality, more and more you do need tape, and every executive is saying that because more and more people are doing it. In order to get the idea across, they need to see what it's going to look like, how good the talent is. Do you really have a vision, what you're capable of doing? Do you need the other? Yeah, you do need other supporting materials besides just that. And how deep those go really kind of depends, because there's 14 different types of reality shows, between game show and talk shows and competition shows, and I mean, there's a lot of different breakdowns that we've really categorized in all the trainings that we've set up. And each one kind of needs different things on what you need to be able to put together for it. So, yeah, you do need it. And one of the big things, and we'll share this with everyone, a lot of people feel they need to shoot a series or at least a pilot. And I'll say, if you want to shoot a pilot, that's great so you understand it. No one's ever going to watch it. So don't waste your time and money on finishing an entire pilot. That's not what the industry looks at. That's not what they use. They're going to know in the first 30 seconds, so why would you do more than a few minutes? And, you know, put your money into a shorter piece and really make it sing. And part of how to make it sing and tell stories, again, there's a lot to that, and it's a big part of what we do with working with our clients.
So, if someone's ready to pitch their project and they're about to go into the network, how can they find out if what they've created has already been pitched to the network, and how important is it to be 100% original with your concept?
Well, that's a real easy question to answer. Yes, your idea has been pitched to that network. They've all seen it. There are no new ideas, and I can guarantee you right now, 90% of people listening to this are going, not me, not mine. Mine's complete. No one's ever seen this before. You're wrong. We have. In fact, there's an industry title for that. It's called a MOP, called the most often pitched. The network has these. And it's funny, I was talking to an exec at Nickelodeon a little over a year ago, and I asked him, what are your MOPs? And he said, oh, one of them is dust bunnies. It's like, really? People come up and he said, oh yeah, I've seen 35 pitches about dust bunnies. He said, condiments, you know, salt and pepper, sugar and spice, ketchup and mustard, tons of ideas on condiments. I had 2 clients within 3 days of each other come in and pitch to me a show, an animated kid show for 6 to 9-year-olds that had a blue Brazilian parrot and a lizard as best friends as the 2 key characters.
Wow.
We see it all the time, and every network does. So look, yes, your idea has been pitched. So what you need to do is, what's your take? What do you bring to it? What exclusive access do you have? What can you do that makes yours stand apart? You don't need to know what all the other ones are, but you do need to work with a mentor, someone who's seasoned in the industry, who knows how to look for those things, look into your past, pull things out of you that make what you're doing, what you bring to this, different than someone else. Because if they're talking to 10 people that have a common idea, which one are they going to go with and why? And it takes someone seasoned to help you with that. And again, that's one thing that we bring to it that we help people with.
So just a few quick, like a high-level bullet. How do I know if I'm ready or not to pitch my concept?
You got to talk to someone who knows what they're doing and ask them. The last thing you want to do is go out before you've really practiced or gotten some good advice, and not your mama, because you're good to your mama. She loves everything you do. So moms really are terrible at giving you any sort of help whatsoever. What you need is someone who will look at you and tell you you suck if you suck, and cry and tell you you're amazing if you're really amazing. You don't want to be there in front of a network executive and have some really common mistakes, or even an uncommon mistake that's going to ruin your pitch, because you've got one shot with each executive you get in front of, and that's it. Do you really want all this time and money you put into putting your project together? Do you really want to potentially blow it because you didn't take that extra bit of time and investment to work with someone who's been there and keep you from making those mistakes? And look, there's a lot of people in Hollywood that can help you. The hard thing is finding people who have time who will do it. That's also one of the reasons we set up what we do to help mentor people. You know, we'll get you there and we'll practice. We know what the execs are going to ask, and we'll play devil's advocate. In fact, that's fun, and that's a big part of what we do with people before they get ready.
So you're talking about your company as well with Sell Your TV Concept now. Can you just talk a little bit about some of the other services you offer at your company?
Absolutely. We can help people with virtually anything that they need, and it starts with our breakthrough sessions is what we call our one-on-one consults, where we work with people, we review your materials and work with you on practicing your pitch and give you guidance support, help you with where you're going to go, how to land those meetings. We also have a do-it-yourself kit that a lot of people really like, because a lot of creators like to do things on their own timeline. They just want examples, because it's almost impossible to find a treatment, a really good treatment that has sold shows, because studios are going to spend $60,000 to $80,000 putting these together. They're not usually willing to share that. Well, in our TV pitch school, which is our do-it-yourself kit, we have 4 treatments with commentary. So we take you page by page through it on explaining step by step what's in them and what you need to do. We've got sample one sheets, and we've got a breakdown of what needs to be on the one sheet. We've got fill in the blank elements on how to land the pitch. We've got information on where to go, how to work with different conferences. We've got a whole big section just on NATPE. We've got pieces on what to expect in a pitch, answering the most common questions. I mean, it's literally everything. The way we looked at this is everything we wish we had when we got started, we put into our TV pitch school. We also have in-house designers, so we design one sheets for people, because most people don't have that design sensibility. We have photographers if you need photography, custom photography for it, or we'll work with your photographer, however you need. We've got screenwriters on staff that'll help write or edit your treatments. We can offer TV script coverage, so we'll review. We've got pros who've worked with everyone from National Lampoon to Jim Cameron, who will go over and give you really specific details. Part of what's different about our coverage, we don't tell you what you have. You kind of know that. What we tell you is what you don't know, what you don't have, what you need, what works, what doesn't work, with very specific examples peppered throughout. We have free training online as well to guide people through 26 different steps from concept through delivery. It's at television-training.com. It's a quick link there. So we have lots of different ways of working with people.
Very cool. Well, thanks for your time today, and for teaching us about how we can be better pitchers. And hopefully we'll get you on again sometime soon.
Anytime. I'll be glad to talk to you, Clay, and I'm sure I'll see you at the next NATPE, because I never miss it.
All right, for sure.
And we are closed. Total viewers 18,455.
18,455.
18,455 tuned in. We had 1,499 in the room at close. We peaked at 1,674 people in the room at 119.
Wow.
18,000 checked it out.
Well, very cool.
I'm